today's podcast is really going to talk about scaling up automations in the telco sector. And we all know that the telco sector is witnessing an increasing demand for automation. They are facing significant disruption from OTT services, and they need to engage in quite a few automation initiatives to handle things like legacy systems, data management, security concerns, regulatory compliance. These are just some of the issues that the telcos are suffering or facing. And with the onset of 5G, this pressure on automation is going to increase further. Now, robotic process automation isn't something new to the world now. The market is a sort of $7 billion market. And even for the telco sector, it's significantly new. But I think one of the areas where it's a challenge is moving away from 50, 100 processes automated to scaling up. And my guests today are seasoned transformation leaders, and I really mean seasoned, who have addressed these challenges head on. And not only have they addressed these challenges, they've actually delivered in terms of large-scale process automations. So in particular, both my guests have developed a large number of automations and are well established in the challenges to establish Robotic Center of Excellence, the RCoE. So without further, let me just introduce my guests. So first is welcome to Ms. Herrera, Innovation Lead at Telefonica Hispanoamerica, which is the Telefonica Group unit that brings together the assets and operations in Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Mexico, Uruguay, Venezuela, and Central America. It has launched a new multi-country operating model to maximize the value of its assets in Latin America through simplification and expansion. Luz comes with a rich experience of over 10 years within the sector and is focused on the use of intelligent automation for her processes in the telco center. And having automated in the region of 500 processes using RPA, she really has a thorough understanding of what scaling of RPA processes really means and the developing of in-house Robotic Center of Excellence. So Luz, welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for the invitation, and it's a pleasure for me to be here and ready to answer any question you want me to do.
For sure, we'll have a good set of questions for you. Okay, my second guest, no less, is Handan Aymaz. She is the head of Continuous Improvement Center at Turkcell. Turkcell is a converged telecommunication and technology services provider and the number one digital operator in Turkey with its strong subscriber base and digital-first products and services to its customers. Handan comes with 15 plus years of experience in end-to-end process improvement, transformation, and operational excellence. She led and managed programs aiming at productivity and efficiency through seamless and digital process designs. Over the past 5 years, one of the areas she has been focusing on is the penetration of next-generation process management-related technologies like robotic process automation, process mining, task mining with the company, and how to enable people around the use of these technologies. So again, like Luz, it is a pleasure to have you on this podcast, Handan. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for the invitation, Dr. Basit. It will be a very nice experience for me also. I'm waiting for your questions.
Okay. Looks like we've got a very keen panel today. Okay. Just as an introduction, we've all got the experience of RPA, the initial introduction into RPA, the 5 process, the low-hanging fruit, and then the wider interactions within the departments. And both of you have gone from that process and now gone into hundreds and hundreds of processes, hundreds and hundreds of bots. So my first question really directed towards you, Luz, is as the number of bots increases, managing and monitoring them becomes more complex. The need to ensure health, availability, and performance of each bot becomes challenging. How have you addressed these challenges?
Yes, as you say, when you have more bots to manage, it gets complex. When you start the journey of RPA, we have two ways to start. One is just, okay, I have a specific need and I need to automate. And I have one bot there just because I need to solve a problem. And the other part is, I plan it. I have a set of processes I want to automate, and I had to program which tool I will use, what process are going to be, what's the business case of the processes, and then I plan it. So that's the best way to start. And I recommend to the people that haven't started yet, it's first to plan it, to see which kind of process they will start and involve all the people that will participate in the development, deployment, and support of the process. So they know, because at the beginning, when you talk about robots, they say, they are robots. And they say, maybe they are going to get crazy and, do something I cannot control. And they say, no. Explain how it works. So the first part was with security, because at the beginning, when you have one or two, it's okay, because, you need to follow the policies of credentials and profiles. But when you have 3, 4, 5, 6, it's kind of like gets kind of complex, as you said. So we asked them, for example, to set up a specific credential policies for robots, to knowing each process, what kind of data they will manage. So they can have privileged credentials, or they can have the lowest degree of credentials to touch the data. So the main thing is to have here the disponibility of the infrastructure. And you have to have the measure of the KPIs of the process, the performance of the process, and the compliance part. So the first thing that happened to me when I put a robot, the owner of the process said, this is a machine. IT needs to have it. So I'm not going to say that. It's like, no. Okay, this is two parts of monitoring. One is the machine that has to be on, the disponibility of 95% of anything that we are compromised with it. And the other part is the virtual worker. You don't have a worker with you right now, but you have virtual one that you need to supervise and see the performance, KPI, how it works. You need to monitor both sides. And each time that the robot, goes live, they need to go with the monitoring KPIs. They need to have their own, we put a name, of course, and then when go to production, the people that incidents support, they need to know that which is the user, how is going to report the incident. So that's the way we manage this when it gets complex.
Can I just, there's one point that you mentioned about governance. Okay, so implicitly there's a whole discussion about governance. Handan, how did you manage the issues of governance? Because you've also done a very large number of bots.
It is actually one of the important topics in terms of the scaling out and penetration of RPA, because you can develop several scenarios, but how you govern it is very important. I think at this point I can explain you our RCoE structure, maybe related with the topic. Here in our company, actually, CoE and governance is a teamwork. I don't think it is the responsibility of just one thing. In our structure, actually, we are managing our RPA efforts two major point of view. One is the process point of view. Under process point of view, actually, we are trying to answer the questions like which processes are suitable for RPA. When a potential use case is identified, whether RPA is the best thing or not, which is again in a process point of view. Or how should we assess the feasibility of the RPA scenario? Is it the best thing for the process? Is it the most feasible thing for the process, not the scenario, but the process, or something else should be done? And considering the whole company, which processes should be prioritized in terms of the RPA penetration? It is the process point of view, and my department, Continuous Improvement Center, actually is responsible to manage this part of the process. On the other hand, actually it is the one side of the coin. On the other side, it is a technology, and it requires a technology management point of view. So what are the technical processes to be established, whether security, whether operation, whether monitoring within the company? How we monitor the productivity of our robots, and which potential RPA technologies should be used. Under our RCoE structure, another body is actually the Digital Center of Excellence, which is a part of the ICT. So our RCoE structure is co-led by two major points of view. We are, of course, one team, but we have some clear responsibilities. As a combination of that, there is a third thing that we manage all together is the strategy. Whether we want RPA to be penetrated to whole company, how should be the ratio of central development or the citizen development. So we are managing these third dimension all together from business process perspective and also technology perspective.
Excellent. You in the last sentence talked about citizen developers, and even with you, Luz, one of the challenges of RPA adoption, as you say, is that they see that that's somebody else's problem. It's a bot and it's an IT department issue. Okay. So Handan, I know that you have in-house developers. Can you talk about how you developed the concept of citizen developers, the culture, and introduced it within your team and beyond? Because with a Robotic Center of Excellence, you really cannot buy in a whole set of IT people who become RPA developers. What you really need are people who are process owners who know best how to automate it. And so the citizen developer concept is a very good one. So maybe you can talk about how you work on that.
Thank you for this question. RPA is a very smart and fancy technology, but it really can be utilized with people. So the citizen developer concept is very important for us. Actually, the central CoE is an enabler for the whole company. The RPA technology belongs to the whole company, not the Center of Excellence. We position ourselves as the enabler serving the whole company. So we really investing our people as a citizen developer is one of the three strategic goals in our RPA agenda. Maybe before saying what we have done, maybe I can share some figures. For the time being, we have approximately 200 plus citizen developers within our company. Before 2020, actually the number was less than 50. So with this central CoE approach, actually we increased our figures by 3. As an experience, maybe I can share with you how we achieve this progress in the number of citizen developers. The first thing is the people and culture. I think it is the very start of everything, very beginning of everything. Here, actually, in our company, we really support our people to devote our time, to devote our working time to innovate new things, to research and development, and to invest their personal development. There are several mechanisms within the company that encourage people to this kind of activity, not as a citizen developer, but related thing maybe with that. In Turkcell, we have our own RPA technology, which is developed in-house by our engineers as a result of this culture and people's motivation to innovate new things. So therefore, having this very base actually encourage us as the CoE to promote a program to increase our citizen developers, because we know that our people can easily be motivated around such an initiative. Second, actually, under the CoE structure, we manage this thing as a holistic approach with a cross-functional engagement. Citizen developer program not only includes having a training and make people teach people how to develop RPA scenarios, but it is an end-to-end journey. At the very beginning, this program that I will mention now is actually running for the last 2 years, and it worked in our scenario. The journey actually starts with idea generation. We ask our people whether they have, even if they have a minimum understanding of the RPA, we ask first whether they have an idea or not. So, and also help them to develop an RPA ideas or potential RPA scenarios. When they have at least one idea, or it is not a necessity, but it's a starting point, then we make people to attend the training class, first online, which is a very basic and easy to understand training program designed with our academy. They finished an online course related with the RPA, and after that, they attend to an in-class training. In the in-class training platform, actually, they learn with an introductory level how to develop RPA scenarios. But this is not the end of our program. After that, actually, most of the time, even if they do not have any idea, at the end of these 2 level of training program, people come with several number of ideas, automation scenarios of RPA. So within that training program, 2 things is that first they have to develop an idea, whether it is business related or not, it's not important, but they practically experienced how to develop an RPA scenario. And second, our trainers always ask them, please think about your possible scenarios, real life scenarios. So after training, the journey doesn't conclude. Then we promote, let's say, some internal competitions and hackathons. Make people who have finished these trainings, they build their teams, they further further improve their ideas, real life business automation scenarios. So within 1 week and 2 weeks, within a hackathon platform, they developed RPA scenarios. Of course, they are not alone. We help them. Maybe I can go into more detail with your questions, but we help them with some mentorship mechanisms. Within that period of time, they have to conclude their scenarios. So journey doesn't finish after that hackathons. And come internal, let's say, judging committee combined from managers from our company, evaluated that scenarios, and winners are awarded in front of the whole company by their executive managers. So under such a platform, actually, we ensure that our people have really practical experience with their RPA trainings. They really have at least 1 or 2 real life working scenarios. They contributed as a developer. Of course, they can get some help from mentors, but they have some contribution as a developer. And also, they enjoy the experience of award ceremony and an acknowledgement by their executive managers.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. So we manage this and at the end-to-end journey, not a training program or not a, let's say, KPI. If you are a student developer, you have to develop 3 scenarios. Not like that. Of course, we have something like that, but we really help them. As a COE team, we really with them from the very beginning, from the idea part to the very end, finish the scenario. And to support this, of course, we have some, let's say, badges in our company platform showing the experience level of citizen developers with a very well-defined criteria. For example, we have RPA developers, we have RPA champions, and we also have RPA mentors. So people also, with this badge structure, people also can motivated about increasing their level of RPA knowledge because they can show these badges on their company profile. Whenever someone is stalking you on the company profile, they can see that, oh, okay, Handan is an RPA champion, so she should be at least develop this number of scenarios.
I mean, it's fascinating, really. And both me and Luz, I could see Luz on the screen. What's really innovative is this hackathon concept. You see, I mean, I work on a different part of digital transformation where we work with, say, the banking sector, and we work with the banking domain people, those who are bankers or working in the management positions. And then we want to shift the bank digitally transform them. And we've used hackathons to get senior banking officials to sit with software engineers. I mean, Luz is very familiar with this. Okay, so the idea is to merge domain knowledge with technology. But the way you've discussed this, I think it's fascinating. How does this compare to you, Luz? How have you managed to develop such a large number of bots? You've got citizen developers yourselves, or you've sort of got a hybrid situation?
Yeah, when we started, we just have a partner that helped us with the development part. But in the way we start doing hybrid, have people in the company learning how to develop. So right now we have both, but we don't have like us. Handan has the whole journey, and that I really need to learn from what you have. But yeah, that right now we just have both sides. Most of the development of the robots we do with the partner, and just we're on the learning how to manage that part. So that's why I told her that we need to talk about that, what the best practice is to do that.
2 points. One is first that clearly the way you're discussing Handan and even the way you're discussing Luz, you had good C-suite support. That is, your top level management was really very willing to invest. Am I correct in saying this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's the first part, that the C-level of the director of the sponsor, they need to first bought the idea, and they support, because this is as Hannah know, this is every day encourage people, teaching people, let them know what we're going to do. So if you don't have support, this probably will take longer, and it's kind of difficult to do it. But it's important they know the technology, know the benefit, and encourage the people to get involved in this.
Can I just ask, okay, both of you, when your C-suite, and then obviously you embarked down the RPA journey, was there a well-defined strategy to say we want to go to a large number of processes, or did you just try it and then move further and then come up with a Robotic Center of Excellence? I mean, strategy-wise, was an RCoE part of one of your milestones? Handan?
Yeah, maybe I can start with actually digital transformation is very defined strategy on companies' top, let's say 5 or 10 strategic agenda. So under that initiative, digital transformation, everyone within the company is working on what can I do to contribute this strategy. When it comes to RPA, since we have our internal RPA platform, of course, we have some cost advantages. Mm-hmm. So actually, as a COE, we position RPA with 2 major roles. One is actually creating quick win, let's say, productivity and optimization and transformation in our processes, which is something we always heard from our management. We have our in-house RPA technology, so we have to fully utilize it with all our people. Yeah. Second is that sometimes RPA is not the final solution, but to find the potential? Where should we, let's say, put the spotlight for further transformation? RPA really helps us to find the backlog. So actually, we are using RPA also to serving the second strategy. When our top management puts digital transformation at the very top, and under that, when they say that we have our in-house technology related with the RPA, so we should utilize it with 100% with all our people, then the rest for us as the COE is to find how. So we develop the program, we propose the program to our all top management and say that this is the journey and what we expect from your people as a contribution and what we expect from you as a manager. So we get their approval, then continue the program. So not the first thing is the RPA, but it is serving the more digital transformation initiative, and also not only digital transformation, but also reskilling and upskilling the workforce. Because it is not only the process issue, it is also helping your workforce, your people to prepare to the, let's say, next level of skills and expertise. So this initiative is serving these two major strategic agenda of top management.
What about you, Luz?
It is very easy to get. Then after that, it's more easy to get their approval and support.
What about you, Luz? I mean, in Telefonica, was the strategy well defined that we are going to at some point establish a core team that looks at RPA and then looks at RPA across the organization? Was that part of the original thinking?
Well, the original thinking was, we need to be more agile.
Sure.
We need to have savings. So we need to look for a tool to do it. And as Handan said, and we are in the digital transformation plan. They, like you say, they don't say you need to do RPA. We need to find a way to digitalize the process. And in that way, to find how to digitalize or put in intelligent automation, we say, okay, let's look at the market, what we can use. And then we say, okay, RPA is the tool that will help us. So at the beginning, we didn't have any process to, we didn't know which one is how they say, it's able to robotize and which are not. So we just have the strategy of you need to digitalize the process. We need to be more agile. We need to have more efficiency and more productivity, how to, get better the client experience. So then it came RPA. And when we had RPA start implemented, then we learned all the benefits that they bring to the company. But from the beginning, our sponsor, the C-level, they were with us and say, okay, yes, if you want to do it, how much money do you need? What's going to be the benefit? Which people do you want to be in the team? So they help all the way until we start the project and the monitoring. And that's really, really important. The strategy was like high level, like Handan said, and then we learn the strategy of RPA in the way.
Okay, can I just take this discussion about the Robotic Center of Excellence further? Okay, so it's very easy, Luz in your team to do our RPA and Handan in your team when you started off. The challenge with the Center of Excellence is when you move out from your department, if you want to call it, and you go to other business units. Okay, maybe I can start with you, Handan. What was the biggest challenge when you started taking your RPA activities to a business unit for the first time? And then I'll address you, Luz, with the same question. So, Luz, you've got time to think about the answer. So,
I think actually I have always worked in this Center of Excellence structure, and when I first appointed to this position, the first thing I had done was building the journey. So I can say before the journey, what I heard from the previously, I think that the biggest challenge at the very beginning was to make people feel the concrete benefits of RPA without any example. So every time when it's always more easier people to get the buy-in if they see something more concrete. So as the number of scenarios and successes increases, it becomes more easier to get people's buy-in. Second thing is that maybe not from my current company, but as a general challenge that all of us who have expertise in this area, some fears of the employees about losing their job. So at that point, everything that we are doing, like this journey, like the approach of the top management to the issue, what is the major motivation of RPA? It is for, let's say, efficiency, or it is for getting more optimized, streamlined or seamless processes. So what is the message you are conveying to your people is very important. So from example to example, from case to case, when people see that you are consistent about your message, how you approach to this issue, it becomes more easier to get people more with you to contribute to these initiatives. And the third thing, maybe before COE, if you do not have concrete processes for RPA, what I mean is that the monitoring part, the operation part, or the, let's say, authorizations of the robots. If your processes are not so easy itself, when people start to contribute to your RPA process, if their experience is not so good, they can give up easily. So you really need to manage your RPA processes also mature and seamless with your people, because people are very busy. They have many other things to do. So RPA itself should be easy. When they start to, let's say, using RPA, the process shouldn't make people to give up. Okay, I can handle this by myself. Robot can make later. So when we structure our RPA processes, when we already have so many good examples, and when we designed the journey, I think most important challenge is the culture. But after these three things, and also the support of top management, it can be, let's say, overcome, and people are willingly becoming part of this journey and owning the initiative as their own.
Excellent. Luz.
This is what I experienced.
Luz.
In my experience, when I started to talk about robots, like the first thing was the fear of the people. They didn't understand. They heard the word robot and they thought, oh, they're going to take my job. So whenever we will ask, do you have any process that we can automate or we can help you with to be faster? And they say no, everything is working fine. So we were every area, like we just think like probably in this area we can find some process that we can improve or automate. None of them said they had any problem in the area. And it's like, okay, how we can start this? So what we did is, of course, the leadership, we told them, nobody wants to do this. So we did sessions with design thinkers and put different areas in the tables, and said we need to start looking for ideas to save, resources. From that table, we say you need to find four types of ways of improvement. One, it can be you can have a process and you just have to change the policies or the rules. Two, you can maybe it's a broken process, you need to fix it with any kind of technology. Three, maybe the process doesn't exist anymore, you have to eliminate it. And four is maybe you can automate differently the process. So, at the end of these sessions, we have like 16 or 17 processes that probably can be automated. And then with them, start working and say, how about if we can automate with RPA and explaining the tables. And the tables were different people from different areas. And the first thing we did is let's do a POC, a proof of concept, to show them how it can be. So we select the process, like it was a short one, wasn't a big one. And that was the first process that helped us to get into the whole company. They did in a day a job of 60 people. And nobody was believe it. And that was, I think, I never done another like this. Okay. That was the only one. That was the time, I think. And I say, okay, let's do it. And at that time, we didn't have clear all the how it's going to manage in on time. But the robot worked. So we show them how efficient can be a process if you automate it. And so, and the people are here, they are not out of the company. And they are doing more interesting things than the boring things they used to do. So this is not to take your job away, but it's to empower you. So that's the how we get to the people, because we understood that people don't fear to change. They fear to change that they don't understand. So that's something we did, but it took time. It wasn't like one month to another. It took probably 6 months in doing all the sessions, get the processes, and get the POC. Took us for 8 weeks probably, and nobody understood how it worked. But we make it work. I remember it was January 11 after New Year's. We had the robot work, and we were really happy to do that. But that's one thing that the fear of the people. They don't understand it. They don't want to do it. But after they saw that we did one robot work that, then with the second and the third, then they start bringing the process.
Yes.
They start saying, I have one process here. Do you think it can be automated with RPA? And we just say, okay, let's see how much money they're going to bring me. So if they're going to bring me less than $1 million, no, we won't do it. Put in the key. So it was kind of funny at the beginning, but they understood how it worked. And now the company, it's all over the processes, and they bring their own processes. And they say, I want you to do that because it takes me a lot of time to do it. And if the robot does, I will do more interesting things. And the other thing is, we work on embracing innovation. That's the another part of digital transformation. We cannot just continue the way it is. We need to embrace innovation. So this is a way to start with incremental innovation. So that's another thing we work with them. And the other thing is talk to the leaders. The leaders need to understand, and they are, if they understand and they are happy with the results, then they talk to their people, and it helps us to, as an ambassadors in the company. And the last part was whenever we had a process, we show the results. We show the result. If we say, this is going to give us such and such as KPIs, and it's going to be faster, and TMO is going to be this. So we show them, put a meeting. Okay, let's do this. Before it does, 5 minutes. Now it's less than a minute. So that makes credibility on the people. So I think that helped us too. Now you don't have to do that. They already know how it works and the benefit to the company. But at the beginning it was hard. It took us probably the first 6 or 7 or 8 months probably before people come, but they own, say, I have a process here. So there was a time everybody thought about, you can do a robot here and robots here. And they said, okay, we can automate anything, but you have to be strategically. And there are certain things how to be, so the robot can be, how can I say, economically, you can have the economically benefit that you need in the time of that the process can be alive, So that was my experience. And now I think I'm really, really, happy that we did that at the beginning and people understand. And now people are, okay, now we have RPs. What else? What else we can do? Can we put intelligence, artificial on that? Because we need to go to be more innovative. We know that part and we want to go to the next level. So that's the thing we need to, it's nice to see now after 5 years, 4 or 5 years that they it's just like kind of a digital thinking, just how can I do it better? How can I do it better where I am right now? I can be an accountant, but I'm thinking what tool is in the market so it can help me to do my job better. So that's the kind of mindset that we
what I'd say, What I'd say is that the fruits of what both of you are talking about are process owners looking at their processes digitally. Yeah. So it's almost like if you could have an animation, they are looking at their process with ones and zeros at each step of the process. That's the result after 5 or 6 years worth of hard work. We've talked about the C-suite and we've talked about the ground level. And one of the things that lose you in the middle of your discussion just now, how difficult was it to get the business unit leaders on board? You see, because we know at the lower level the fears actually exist because they really do think they're going to lose their job. And obviously at the high level, C-suite has to do automation. Otherwise, they will lose their job because the company won't exist after 2-3 years. The real practical people where this culture needs to sit really is the business unit leaders. Did you face any challenges there, Luz?
Yes. The same thing, I'm too busy to give my people to do the automation. And because they are working all the time, and of course they have like OKRs or KPIs to be supervising. But for example, when we have process, as I say, okay, how it's going to work. They think it's going to be automatically a magic, and suddenly, if I get there and I have the process, it's going to work fine, And then we say, no, I need to get with your people. Give me 2 hours, a day, like to go through the process and see how it works. You need to let me know. You need to tell me how it works so I can put it in development and put it in production. So then they just discourage. Say, no, because how long is it going to take? Probably it's going to take like 1 week or 2 weeks. No. I don't need it. I don't want to. So work with them too, like make them, okay, like how to make projections like, okay, how long do you just need 10 hours of your people? And then you will have, it's going to be faster. People are going to do another thing. If you're, with a lot of work right now, just give me a month. In a month, probably you will have loss. So just like coaching, to them, how it's going to be done. And if they don't want it, because there were people that, no at all. It's okay now. This is it comes from VPs or the C-level. I don't need to do it. So just the beginners, like convince them the good way, the best way we could. And if they just cannot, like make them understand we need to get it done. This is the strategy of the company. We need to be transformed to get into the digital area. And it's something right now or later on, you have to do it.
Yep.
So,
excellent.
Yeah, it was harder.
Sure.
Yeah.
Handan?
Yeah, actually, in our case, actually the digital transformation goal, also the goal of the business leaders. So at the very beginning, as you may remember, that we position ourselves as the enabler. We position COE as an enabler. So actually, this RPA journey is an opportunity also for business leaders, also taking part in the digital transformation for their internal processes. So most of the time, when we say that you can use us as an enabler, we can serve you also to contribute to the digital transformation goal of the company with an RPA perspective, they most of the time agree with us. First thing can be that to get the buy-in of business leaders. And second, most of the time, that workforce is very scarce and important. So when they see the opportunity that there are some digital collar workers, which are robots, which will include to their, let's say, workforce, and also make their people to get rid of some boring tasks, make their people, let's say, to be more safe about some business risks. For example, robots are working in the nights, robots are working in the holidays, in the vacations. So having these digital collar workers in their workforce also will serve to their business goals. So when we explain them to our business leaders, and also when we have such a, let's say, comprehensive program, which actually does not require so many efforts from business leaders, we can get the buy-in of them. So actually, it is serving to their business goal. We position our RPA effort something to serve them.
I mean, what's actually interesting in both of the discussions is that there is, right from the C-suite to business unit leaders, to process owners, to the actual process, those who execute the process, the change in mindset is absolutely critical from both of your discussions and even from some of my engagements. And the challenge isn't this. It's very easy to understand that you need to change the mindset. The difficulty is actually producing that change. It really is the real challenge. Let me ask a very blunt sort of a question. Handan, how do you know all your bots are at optimal efficiency? They're working optimally. How do you know? I mean, you've got a lot of bots. How do you know?
In our case, actually, it is more of a technical question, because since we have, let's say, our internal bots, actually we are using them as a pool. So, for example, if we have a bot for a department, some people may have use for some processes of that bot, but bot is not directly attached with one person. It is used as a pool with another part of, with other people of the department also.
Okay.
So, let's say, within not a person-to-person attachment, but within a pooling perspective, let's say centralization within a department, so more than one people can get tasks to the bots. And of course, like everyone else, this structure helps us for the optimization of our robots. We are monitoring them. Of course, like everyone else, we also have some monitoring dashboards and platforms, so we can see if some of the scenarios are not no more used and robots, let's say, are not fully utilized. We go back to our departments and trying to understand whether they still need that bots. If they do not need that digital collar workers, we got them from our departments. So we are like our people, we are monitoring our bots also. But of course, we cannot expect everyone to fully use one robot. So this centralization and pooling infrastructure helps us to use our robots more in an optimized manner.
Interesting point. Luz, what's your viewpoint? There's something I want to pick up on what Handan said. But Luz, how would you look at that question of the overall efficiency of your Robotic Center of Excellence? How would you look at that?
Well, as you say, we have two kind of monitorings. One is the IT part that they let us know if the machines are on, if the license are well utilized, and that part of the process. And we have the business owners of each robot. Besides, they have their monitoring or dashboard and see the performance of their process. We also have RPA platform monitoring. And the other thing is, like, at the beginning, just like you don't have time to do that first, because we just want to improve and develop the processes and put in production. After that, we have like frequent, how can I say, tasks that we do to monitor and optimize and see how this is working, like review, only like every 3 months or every 6 months, then help us to optimize license. Also, we have a checkup on the develop of the algorithm of the process. So that's kind of like how make sure that they are doing well.
Handan, you mentioned this point about just in the previous answer where just because somebody comes up with an idea to automate, it doesn't have to be the most optimal, you will still do it. And you see what's interesting is that the consequence of this thinking is that the culture of adoption of RPA increases. And so it moves away from this hard and fast rule that for every process, look at the ROI. If there's not enough ROI, don't do it. Okay? It's a very interesting point. Maybe you can take that further, Handan.
Yeah, actually, I understand the ROI point because the cost and benefit is important for all of us. So I really understand that. But as a starting point, we need everyone to be part of that. In the literature of these RPA issue, most of us are mentioning about the fear of losing people job. But another fear actually most of the time is that the fear of whether I can handle is. Whether I can use robots, because for the last 10 years, required skills are also changing in the business life. So people have to change in terms of their mindset, in terms of their expertise. So what I see is that some of the time, even if people do not fear about losing their job, but they can have some fear about whether they can understand the technology, whether they can use the technology, especially the ones who have, let's say, 20 years or more experience. So to making these people a part of this digital transformation journey, you need some more welcoming approach to the issue.
Just take that question to Luis. Have you implemented reskilling, upskilling in your team and your wider group?
Yes. When we start with developing just with partners, and we just need more, we need more people, to be able to develop. Then, we start teaching the people, how to start developing, how to review a process with the mind of RPA, how to do the documentation for it. And we have project managers for RPA. So we train them. I say, that's your task. The process has to be this way. You need to have this and this and this in order to have a successful implementation of the process. Right now, we see reskilling or upskilling in a different way, not just RPA, but different kind of technologies, You need to know about intelligent automation. You need to know about artificial intelligence. You need to know about 5G. So there are more knowledge they need to have. So sometimes we just train the seniors and the managers, but the people are the ones who do the job. They don't have that training. So we're just selecting this kind of segmenting. How can I say? They need to learn. So in order that jobs can be more productive. And also our vision is to encourage, to keep encouraging people to do innovation. So try to think, how can I do my job better? Doesn't matter where I am. You need to start thinking, how can I do it better? What's in the market so I can bring it here? And I know how it works and how we can do my job better. So that's the way we encourage them to continue to be trained, because the company can do the training or we can do the training, but sometimes people are not ready or they are not willing to learn. So it's kind of like an ability we need to learn to continue learning. So that's kind of like the mission of the whole company right now, in order to we can be in the marketing 5-10 years ahead.
Can I just ask, did you use design thinking principles practically to support ideas for process automation?
Yes. We think that design thinking is a methodology just to be creative and do innovation. But we also discovered that design thinking it can be applied to anything. Just to make people go out from their heads. So we did, for example, design thinking for data. You just work with data, do design thinking for that. So we did also design thinking for RPAs. So any kind of thing you want to do, you can apply. So just bring the design thinker that it's expert on this area, and put people like different kind of people, different areas, so you can have the richest, ideas at the end. I mean, you know how crazy ideas come, but at the end of the process, you have like really good ideas to implement. So design thinking applies to everything. I mean, to your life. You can apply to your life and make it better, more creative. How can I do it? You know, it didn't work for me before. Why did it work? Let's try to look into the problem, to the real problem, or we're just doing something called a problem, but it's not the real one. Really gets you out of your head. And most of the time we in the company say, you need to be disruptive. Think out of your head. Think out of the box, but we don't give them time to do it.
Yes. I think that's right.
So that's one thing we use in any area, for data, to digitalize, to improvement processes. So it helped a lot.
Handan, did you use design thinking methodology formally?
Actually, I think design thinking is a way of thinking for most of the time. For big processes, we may, let's say, execute design thinking methodology in a very methodic manner. But sometimes, actually, it's a part of our thinking while trying to understand the process of potential RPA automation. If most of the time it is a customer process, we most likely to apply design thinking. But there are other techniques. Sometimes we are mostly focusing on the lean principles, mostly focusing on the optimization principles, or our people with the support of mentors can use some online canvases, let's say online boards, to understand the as-is process. So we apply what is required. But if it is not only for RPA, I can say, but if it is most of the time an end-to-end automation, we are more likely to apply design thinking.
Excellent. Okay. What I'll say is that clearly the theme coming through this discussion is that you cannot establish a good functioning robotic center of excellence if you haven't got the culture right, if you haven't got the thinking approach right. Just to conclude now, what I'd say is that, can I ask you to mention, if I was someone who came to say like Handan, Luz, I'm looking to establish a robotic center of excellence. Can you both give me one thing that you say you should do and one thing you should not do?
Okay, what you should do is to have a clear vision of what you want to manage, and to have the right people in that place. Sometimes you have one person that does everything, or just one area, because we don't have people. Okay, so just one thing we need to do right is to have the roles well defined, and what's the outcome of we want from the Center of Excellence, what the main objective of being there. And probably what you shouldn't do is be with the just one area and say, let's all of us manage this, and the communication, it's a breakdown. And that's one thing you should do. You need to communicate to all the areas that will be part of the governance, because there is sometimes there are many Center of Excellence in the company, so they don't get across. And sometimes they think, they are doing something, and probably, no, the other is going to do it, the other is going, nobody does it. So just be clear on the mission and the vision and the objectives of the Center of Excellence, and deciding, which one we will use. Like, we're going to be centralized, we're going to be federated, we're going to be an hybrid. And I'm not thinking on how you should do it. Probably the bad thing is not to have a Center of Excellence. And but that's not a good way to manage. So,
Handan?
Yeah, from my side, should do is something similar with what Luz already mentioned. You should define your strategy at the very beginning, what your company needs and having an alignment of your strategy. Because if you know this strategy, it will define maybe your budget, maybe the number of people you will position in the COE, what you ask to your top management, which tool you need, whether a more, let's say, skilled bots you need or a more simple ones. So at the very beginning, you should position RPA on your transformation journey and the strategy of the Center of Excellence. This is the advice from my side. And what should not do is that the COE should not be a one-way approach. It have to require some interdisciplinary approach to the point. RPA is not, I think, just an automation technology. Although its name is includes automation, it also includes the process part. So it is combining the business, the technology. So what should not do is just having one side of approach, but you should incorporate different perspectives into your Center of Excellence, like process, like technology, like maybe security, as I already said. It's not only a process thing, it's not only an IT thing. It should have a combination in the Center of Excellence.
Excellent. Luz from Telefonica, thank you very much for your time. Handan from Turkcell, really. It's been a pleasure having both of you on. And to be honest, I've gone beyond the question that I'd originally, sort of the subject areas that I've given you. And I think that the whole area that we've gone through has been fantastic. I mean, we've gone through the issues of Robotic Center of Excellence. We've also talked about culture, the culture required, the levels where the culture is required, sort of the C-suite down to business unit and also process owners. So thank you very, very much indeed. Do have a nice evening/weekend, and we'll touch base again. Thank you very much for your time.